Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Notre Dame fans. Whenever you are tuning in to this show, whether you're listening to the podcast, you're watching live, you're watching back, whatever the case may be, really appreciate you for making us a part of your day. I'm Mike Singer. With me is Kyle Kelly. We run the recruiting operation over at Blue and Gold, the very best website covering Notre Dame athletics. Glad to be with you guys today. Got so much to discuss, Kyle. Trust everything is going well on your end, my friend.
Yeah, what a first comment here about Micah Hudson entering the transfer portal for from Texas A&M. I don't think Notre Dame's ever been involved with the five-star wide receiver out of the Lone Star State. I know they offered him on, I think, Pot of Gold Day like 3 or 4 years ago, but that doesn't really pertain to this show. But we're going to be talking about a pretty another highly ranked prospect from Texas and who we do think Notre Dame is trending well for.
Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Kyle, I got to do something real quick. I'm going to give you the floor. Let's just go right there. Javion Osborne, top 100 overall player, running back. Why do we need to hear about him?
Yeah, Javion Osborne, the top 100 running back recruit out of Forney, Texas. Notre Dame offered him on Pot of Gold Day when Dylan McCullough was still on staff as Notre Dame's running backs coach. And over this last year, Notre Dame has worked pretty hard to get him to campus. Osborne told me he tentatively had a couple of game day visits set last season, but never really made the trip to South Bend. They were finally able to work things out, and I know Mike Martin, Notre Dame's new general manager, played a pretty big role in getting Osborne to campus this week. Was in South Bend from Tuesday to Thursday, and usually when you see recruits like make these multi-day visits in the spring, you would think that they're on spring break because missing one day of school is a lot. I mean, missing 2 and 3 that's quite a bit. But Osborne actually told me that he did indeed miss 3 days of school to get up to South Bend, which to me was a pretty big indication of how serious he is about the Irish. I think going into this visit, we knew Notre Dame was one of his top schools. They made us publicized top 10 back in January. And I think like this visit was always going to, determine how serious of a contender Notre Dame was for Osborne. And going into this visit, I've talked to Javian a couple times. I saw him in person when I was in College Station last August, and I've always got the sense that he's a big time Notre Dame kid. I know sources around Notre Dame football's program feel the same way. So it's just a matter of if they can get this guy up to campus, they can make a massive move. And they did just that on this week. I think coming out of this visit that Notre Dame has submitted itself as a legitimate contender to possibly secure his commitment. I know Michigan is the favorite on the RPM, but I think Notre Dame has a lot of sway right now in that recruitment. During his unofficial visit, he scheduled a Notre Dame OV for June 13th that was originally supposed to be to Texas, but the Longhorns are out of it at this point. I don't really see them getting back involved either. So I think Osborne is most focused on playing his college football up north. I know Georgia and Miami are some contenders down in the South there. But I think Notre Dame's really well positioned for this recruitment to win out. And, I posted a lengthy update on Javian Osborne and our conversation this morning at Blue and Gold and encourage everyone to take a look at that for some further thoughts. But yeah, I think Notre Dame is pretty well positioned coming out of this visit, and I think fans should feel pretty good, quite frankly, about the chances of him ending up in blue and gold.
I agree. From what he told you, what he told on 3 Steve Wiltfong, definitely raving about the Fighting Irish. And, Kyle, as you were talking a little bit, I was looking back through my notes. What have I written about how many running backs Notre Dame wants to take? Is it just one?
I think in your latest gold standard report, you put 1 to 2. Now
Okay.
that number is always fluid. Now, maybe not legitimate your latest gold standard, but I know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm looking for it.
yeah, it was the one where you talked about the number of
I
recruits that Notre
no,
Dame could take on
just put
offense.
2. I just put 2. So I
Okay,
must have been told 2.
well,
I
that's a
wrote
good number considering the amount of elite
where
guys
they're
they're
at.
targeting in this
And yeah,
class.
you can always go back down to 1 if need be, but, I mean, I would it is not crazy to say that Notre Dame could get both, again, a top 100 overall player, and this cat right here, Simon Mickens, a Penn State commit, number 168 overall player, number 14 running back, according to the On3 industry ranking. So it legitimately could be a recruiting class for Notre Dame has both of those guys. And how likely is it to happen? I don't know. But I think Notre Dame very well might lead for both right now. And that's impressive. So that's Javian Osborne. Like, look, guys, I wanted to note a couple things real quick. One, Notre Dame might not be done at the 2025 class. Blue and Gold broke that news a couple days ago. So you can find that article at blueandgold.com. We're not going to dive into that today. I want to leave that for our paid subscribers over at blueandgold.com, which we would love for you to join the site. Head over there. We have a $1 deal right now, $1 for a week to try it out, Kyle.
Yes, sir. I mean, as far as I know, that offer's not going away anytime soon, but we're really emphasizing it during spring ball. I mean, now's the perfect time to join. You did a great intel piece on what you're
Thank
hearing
you.
coming out of Notre Dame's first spring practice. Obviously, the daily recruiting insiders, Jack and Ty, have been doing great with hands on deck at practice. I was there Wednesday as well with some observations myself, and a lot of intel coming out of this weekend. So, pretty easy buck to spend, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, this is how we pay the bills, and this is our livelihood. So, come subscribe to the site, and we'd love to have you. And you can get up to date with all the latest intel.
Yeah, you just reminded me. They have practice today, obviously, and then tomorrow. So I might need to do another one of those intel pieces. Maybe on Sunday. See if I can get enough together. And Saturday is a big practice from what I was told. So yeah, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you're definitely going to be at blueandgold.com. So, but yeah, so there's a 2025 kid that visited this week. I wanted to touch on to kind of hint at, and then look there. USC went on a run. LSU's been landing commitments. Like Notre Dame, it's been quiet for the Irish landing new commitments recently. I would say for two big reasons. One, Notre Dame's spring ball just started, right? Usually, I feel like they start in early March, but because of the season running so long, they push that back. So it's hard to build momentum a lot when you don't have kids visiting like other schools have since March 1, right? Notre Dame hasn't. Their first visitor this month was what, Tuesday of this week, Wednesday this week. So there's that aspect of it. And then Notre Dame had a completely reshuffle of their personnel office, with Chad leaving, Zaire Turner leaving, and Caleb Davis leaving, like three of your crucial members of that office. So it's just completely revamped. You got Mike Martin coming in, who is doesn't have a recruiting background. He's your GM. So there's like a lot of kind of reshuffling and whatnot. So, but it seems like that's kind of kicked into gear. And that group is, you know, there's not a whole lot of time to kind of figure things out. It's like a trial by fire. Love the Myron Tungavaloa Amosa hire, by the way, guys. I think he's going to do really well. Someone who knows Notre Dame, loves Notre Dame, and the Polynesian background that has to help Notre Dame. Like, I mean, that's going to be really neat when you have guys like Kingston Viliamoasa and Madden Fremos, like those prospects. To be able to have Myron recruit them, that type of player at that level with that background, it's going to pay dividends for the Fighting Irish. Folks want to talk about Roback. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you need to consider, or just if you're anyone, if you're watching this, listen to this, and you hate Notre Dame, you're gonna want to check out Roback. Best fit, best feel. If you're not familiar, Roback is completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear, and they have a new licensed game day collection. 8 really neat Notre Dame items. You got a couple hoodies, couple quarter zips, and the polos, which I absolutely love. And I've been able to cop all 3 of these now: the Notre Dame Golden Domer, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and the Notre Dame Stadium. I think these all look incredible. So head to roback.com, search Notre Dame and you'll be able to find all of these items plus so much other unique stuff. Is their Dublin collection gone? Oh man, I don't know if it's still there, but the Dublin collection was awesome. And then if you need to buy anything for fans of another school, and then also get yourself a little something, I mean, Roback's got a pretty strong selection. UConn, of all the schools, they got UConn. Maybe it's like a basketball thing. Um, anyways, folks, Roback.com. Use the promo code BlueGold20 as well. That'll get you a generous 20% off for all new customers. And I'm telling you, 20% off when you're buying stuff that's over $100. That's a really sizable discount. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with code BlueGold20, RHOBACK.com. Kyle, you're muted, brother. Let me see if I can't unmute you. It looks good.
Yeah, I've been showing it for like the last 10 minutes, but yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I mean, this material, dude, this is great, especially for the old golfer here.
Yes.
And you gotta love the signature Roback on the back, little lines there. So, I mean, this boy's slick. 20% off. Gotta get it.
I'm telling you,
Father's Day will be here before you know it.
Yeah, send a link to your kids or your wife. You know, you just you got it. Look, is it a little pricey? Can you get cheaper stuff at Walmart? Sure, but it does not look good. Like this shirt I'm wearing right now, this was a bargain bin thing from Fanatics. It's just an okay shirt. It's gonna have sweat stains in a couple of weeks, and I won't wear it for very long. Okay, this Roback stuff, it's going to last you for a very long time. Folks, if you're just tuning in, please hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to our channel for more content. If you're listening via podcast, appreciate you as well. Hope your drive wherever you're going is going well. All right, Kyle. So we talked about Javian Osborne. Let's talk quickly about Joey O'Brien, the 6'4", 180-pound versatile athlete. You could play corner, safety, or receiver at the next level. A top 100 overall prospect who I predicted to land at Notre Dame after his March visit last year, coming out of Pot of Gold Day. And it was a projection pick at the time. I think he had like 3 or 4 offers. And now he is certainly blown up and has many schools after him. He visited Notre Dame this week, and it was his 5th visit in total to campus. His first since, was the Miami of Ohio game last year? Was that March or September 21 of last year?
Yep.
And then was on campus last year for the Grill and Chill and for that spring visit that I've talked about last year. So, or excuse me, that was his 4th visit, and visit number 5 is coming up for his official in June. So you can find a story about him at blueandgold.com. Steve Wiltfong spoke with him, and I think it's okay to tease this part with Joey O'Brien real quick. Steve logged a prediction for him to land with the Fighting Irish. Kyle, what was your reaction to that? Were you a little surprised? I mean, he's coming off visits to Michigan and Notre Dame, and he's still got his officials upcoming as well. But I definitely think Notre Dame leads here.
Yeah, I think it kind of added up. I mean, especially when you look at the comments that O'Brien gave Wiltfong, mentioning that I think Notre Dame, kind of pulled ahead here, maybe a little bit. Of course, you can get the full comments and O'Brien's thoughts by subscribing to On3. But it's been tough for me to really get a good read on this recruitment and how to really feel, because I think Wiltfong had a prediction in favor of Penn State before he logged the one for Notre Dame. So I had felt that Penn State was the leader back in the fall, and this recruitment is just so hard to read, because he says that he it likes the idea of playing close to home, but he has a couple siblings who have both left close to home to go play, I think, basketball, and then maybe the other one, track and field, further away. So his family has shown it's possible to leave the Garden State and the Northeast.
No.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
New Jersey.
was it
What's Pennsylvania?
The Keystone State. I think, or
Wait. Isn't it you? You don't
Quaker
like state
State.
nick. You don't like state nicknames, but I do, right? Is that what it is?
It used to be that way. I'm starting to come around to them.
Yeah. Attaboy, Kyle.
But
Attaboy.
yeah, I basically summarize. I know I'm kind of rambling here, just a word salad, but I think with Notre Dame and O'Brien, they've always just had to continue to weather the storm with him because guess what? He's going to visit Oregon. Oregon's going to, I guarantee you, Oregon's going to make a big move for him when he gets up to campus this spring. He's going to be back at Ohio State. He's going to go back to Clemson. Clemson always does a great job. You watch. Oregon and Clemson will have buzz coming out of those visits. But he'll be back on that official the beginning of June, and they're just going to have to survive, fight and survive here. I would like to see Notre Dame get one of the later visits there, but Steve Wiltfong is the GOAT of the industry. For a reason. And usually when he makes a prediction like this, it's worth something. So
Yes.
I have noted it, and I think Notre Dame should be considered the team to be here moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think I just popped up the officials on the screen. 6 of them. Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon, Notre Dame, Clemson, Penn State. It's a lot. And he was just at Michigan, obviously. So could he add them somewhere? He doesn't really have too many openings for weekends and whatnot for official visit season, but you can always make it work or do a midweek or something. So yeah, I like my prediction for Joey O'Brien, and yeah, we'll definitely be writing more about him in the near future. Kyle wanted to run through visitors for this week. I'm going to give you the floor on this one first. These are guys visiting practice for today. Jordan Thomas from Bergen Catholic. Talking about him more and more lately, I feel like, on this YouTube channel. But his first visit to Notre Dame in 2.5 years, Kyle. Pretty big to get him back to campus.
I think so. This recruitment is similar to Javian Osborne's to me, where Notre Dame just needs to get him on campus, and I think that they can pretty quickly become one of the top contending schools for his commitment. Obviously comes from a Catholic school that has some deep-rooted ties to Notre Dame. And, Thomas, one of the best players in the class. He's being recruited by it when you look at Ohio, or being recruited like it when you look at who's involved with, Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, Texas A&M. There's so many programs vying for his pledge, and I think Notre Dame's in the mix here now. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from Thomas how this visit goes, because I think coming out of it, Notre Dame can be well positioned to add him as one of their cornerback commits in the class.
Yeah, look, with Thomas, it's kind of similar to Osborne. It's like Osborne's first visit. Like with Notre Dame, man, you get a kid who fits the place and he goes up there, all bets are off. Like with Osborne, Kyle and I are both considering picks for the kid to land at Notre Dame. Before this week, we would have said the Irish on the outside looking in. You just don't know. Notre Dame's just one of those places. It just simply is. So with Thomas, I would kind of fit him into that category. But the likes of Penn State, Ohio State, A&M, visited, or he's visiting USC soon, Auburn. So we'll see. But I think that Notre Dame is definitely at least got a puncher's chance for Jordan Thomas. A couple 2027 quarterbacks visiting today. Peter Bork, 6'4", 195 pounds, top 100 overall player according to the On3 industry ranking. Michigan, Penn State, probably the schools to watch for him among his offer list right now, I would say. And then in terms of other visits coming up, he's got Penn State. Let's just see. Penn State, North Carolina's offered recently, Rutgers, A&M, some of his visits. So I still, like, I've said this before, like if I had to guess who Notre Dame is going to end up with in the 2027 class of quarterback, my guess would be Bork, but I really don't know. Notre Dame hasn't offered anyone yet. And there's no one like that I'm told that they're like, this is going to be the guy we offer. Like there's nothing like that. Now, with all that being said, I would not be shocked at all if I look at my phone and Peter Bork has tweeted he's got an offer from Notre Dame. Would not surprise me at all. I would not be surprised I can see it. Them just kind of changing course. Like the visit goes really well. They're just like, yeah, let's just roll with this kid. I can see it. And then Trey Taylor is also coming to campus, Carmel Catholic. So Chicagoland kid. Rivals ranks him as the number 4 quarterback in the 2027 class. He's been in Notre Dame a few times, camped with the Fighting Irish. Actually, Taylor and Bork were at Notre Dame's Irish Invasion camp last year. And yeah, Taylor is definitely another candidate for Notre Dame's 2027 quarterback position. Or quarterback offer, I should say. 6'2 and a half, 190 pounds. Definitely two to watch. Kyle, do you have any opinions on these guys?
No, not a bunch. I'm kind of in the same spot as you. I actually turned the tweet notifications on for Peter Bork, just in case he does get an offer, because I could see that being the case as well. But yeah, I really do like Notre Dame's approach in the 26 class right now, or sorry, 27 class with quarterbacks. This kind of goes back to my stance in 2026 when I said, when Notre Dame was battling, or not even really battling, they were deciding who to almost accept a commitment from or who to push for between Noah Grubbs and Brady Hart. And my whole stance was, why wait? There's really no rush. And I kind of feel the same way in 2027. Quarterback recruiting always gets started extremely early, but then by the end of the cycle, you always see the top guys flip. Always. I mean, last year was more than ever. So it's a tough balance for a coaching staff to kind of figure out when to strike on these guys. But I like the fact right now that I think Gino Guidugli and company are probably waiting until the spring to get out and see guys throw in person before they start building out their target lists and the 27 cycle at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, they're in a good position. Like I think a lot of these quarterbacks in the class are pretty big fans of the Fighting Irish. That run has done well for them. Look, they have Notre Dame's tight end spot is sort of similar to running back, taking 2 at the position, and like just some elite guys on the board, and a lot of them visiting in the spring. Ian Premer, I don't think either of us have been able to talk to him, Kyle. Just hasn't responded to us, but everything I hear about this kid, he's like, he very well may be Notre Dame's top option at tight end. They absolutely love him. 6'5", 225 pounds from Great Bend, Kansas. Number 36 overall player, number 4 tight end in the country, according to the On3 industry ranking. On3 is even a little bit higher on him. So Premer visiting today is like a sneaky big visit. Rodney Dunham. Did we talk about Rodney Dunham? Oh, he's next. Have we not talked about him yet in the show?
Leaving the 5-star for last.
On accident, by the way. But Dunham's going to get the headlines. And when I say Dunham's going to get the headlines, I mean quite literal. I did a visit preview today, and he headlines the weekend. I mean, 5-star, but like Premer is extremely important. I mean, Tim and I talked about this on our show Wednesday night. Like, for Notre Dame having a stake in tight end the Irish don't land as many like 5-star caliber tight ends as you would think. Like James Flanagan, I would put in that, but James Flanagan, in my opinion, is the best tight end Notre Dame has signed since Mike Mayer. Like, look, Mitchell Evans damn good, Eli Raridon's very good, but like, you just haven't had as many like top level recruits like Mike Mayer was, like a 5-star. I think according to the 247 or something, I can't remember. But they have the chance to change that in the 2026 class and go get maybe the number. I mean, Ian Premer could end up the top tight end in the country, according to the On3 industry ranking.
Keep that page up, because
this one,
I'm curious that maybe Notre Dame not being able to land some of the 5-star tight ends is kind of based off location. Like in the 24, 23, 22 cycles, I think a lot of those guys came from the South and in Georgia. Specifically, a lot of those guys stuck with Bulldogs. So I would like to see kind of where these guys are coming from. I mean, Lincoln Cure was the interesting one.
Well, yeah, he visited. Andrew Olesh visited, and then Flanagan. Look. Flanagan was 130-7, but to me, like, what did on three? On three Adams. Oh, he dropped a little bit at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's crazy, but I don't want to get too hung up on tight end rankings and recruiting, but in terms of the 5-star thing. But anyways, just your thoughts on this in general. Anything else on Premier you want to add or tight end recruiting?
Well, I'm glad you at least went to the 24 class, because I was going to make the point with Lincoln Cure that, he's a 5-star level guy coming out of Kansas, just like Ian Premer, who Notre Dame is making a move for now. And Lincoln Cure was someone that Notre Dame was in on relatively early. It just kind of fell apart. I don't know if that was more Notre Dame's decision or his, or what kind of happened there. But, he ended
Uh-oh,
up.
do we lose Kyle? Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm here. Yep. So with Cure, uh, he had been trending to Kansas State for most of his recruitment, but he gave a lot of thought to Oregon. I think he almost flipped to them at the end, but he was able to hold on to, or Kansas State was able to hold on to him. So I'm wondering how that dynamic will work in Premer's recruitment, because it's my understanding that his only scheduled official visit right now is to Kansas State. So could that change coming out as a Notre Dame visit? Definitely. But it seems like, just based on the recent history, that Kansas State's able to get these elite tight ends to sign. So I wonder how that will take shape with Premier, because he is definitely one that Notre Dame is going to want to add to the class.
Yeah, when you look at hold on, let me go back to 2026 here. Like some of these top guys like North Carolina, California, Georgia, but Kansas, Illinois, Montana, Iowa, Evan Jacobson visiting in April. And then and obviously Bremer, right? So it's like those are some states that are friendly to Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame should be in like these Nebraska tight ends, Iowa, Kansas, like Notre Dame, Midwest states, flyover states, Notre Dame. I hope I didn't offend anyone by calling it a flyover state. I'm sorry, that just slipped. But I think Notre Dame should have great success in those states, especially with tight ends and offensive linemen from these states. Yeah, you're battling in-state U is Iowa or Kansas State or Nebraska. I get it. In those states, those are the schools, but you know, it's different than going to Georgia or Florida or California. At least in my opinion, that's kind of how I see it. Kyle, let's transition, and of course, remind folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the channel for more content. It's like a little pot of gold, Mr. Kyle Kelly. Notre Dame had some legacy/siblings offers. Offered Junior Tuahalamaka's little brother, of course, Julius Jones, which I think was the marquee offer, the elite wide receiver, son of the former Notre Dame running back. Of course, offered James Flanagan's brother and Jim Flanagan's son, Richie Flanagan from the Badger State, and then Chris Orch's godson, Braden Park. So those kind of like the family connections. And then, so I would say that was like a storyline to come out of it. Gold storylines to come out of that. That would have been a good article. And then, come on, Spell. So we talked about Messiah Mickens earlier, Penn State running back commit that Juwan Sider had. He also had come on, I don't know, Spell, another Pennsylvania. He's the number 1 running back in the 2027 class. He's visiting Notre Dame. He got his offer from the Fighting Irish on Monday. So those were kind of a couple of the big things that I thought about Pot of Gold Day. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that a little project for us coming out of this weekend, once we get through the recruiting visitors, is to get a hold of some of these 2027s, because I think a lot of these guys are getting ready to get on campus. And that's just a pretty good indication of, how Notre Dame is, or, how these recruits view Notre Dame. There's been so much talk, or there was so much talk at least, about, why isn't Notre Dame gaining momentum on the recruiting trail after winning the national champion? Or sorry, God, I wish they would have won, but that would have been great for business. But playing in the national championship game, and I think it was maybe our stance, or kind of just like we had talked maybe before, that it might not make a massive difference in 2026 recruiting, but I think when you could see it start to really pay dividends is in 2027.
Yeah.
And I think you're already starting to see that with a number of guys that are sending visits. I know Flanagan's going to be up to campus. That's a pretty obvious one, with him being a Notre Dame legacy. But I know there's a number of other guys who are scheduled. I think we've already reported like at least 15, 16, 17, 18 of these guys, and they offered over 90. I think my final count was 94 or 95.
Yeah.
And I by the end of the spring, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe hosted a third of those guys, especially during the blue gold game. But my other thought about blue and gold, or sorry, pot of gold day, was the number of recruits they offered from California.
Yeah.
So how about Notre Dame's not going to shy away from some of the top guys there in the Golden State, with Chad Bowden being there, and Chad Bowden has spoken publicly quite a bit since arriving in LA about how they're going to keep the top recruits, and the top recruits in the state, and the top recruits in the SoCal area at home. That's not going to stop Notre Dame from targeting a lot of those guys. And yeah, I mean, even outside of California, when you look at Washington, they offered a kid from Oregon for the first time in like 5, 6, 7 years. So really like the approach they're taking in the 27 class. I know it took a little bit of a while, but they're quickly finding some of that very desired momentum Notre Dame fans cherish on the recruiting trail.
Yeah. Good stuff. I did this article yesterday. Let me pull it up real quick. And it was some data on Pot of Gold Day. And yeah, offers by state. Some of these might be off by a number or two. And then there's like a Canada kid who is playing high school ball in Tennessee. Then you got some kids at IMG. So they're from Pennsylvania, but now they're at IMG in Florida. I went by where they're playing their high school ball, maybe not where they were born, for what it's worth. So 21 in California. So that's nearly a quarter of your offers from one state. Texas, North Carolina, Notre Dame's recruiting a lot more. I talk about this. There's like a cycle, but in the South, between like what's the new state that Notre Dame's really active in. It was Georgia around Kyle Hamilton time, and then they had the class where they got Deion Colsey, Jaden Thomas, Kane Barong, I think one other in the 2021 class, ton in Georgia, and then it seems like it's kind of shifted towards Florida. Now it's North Carolina. Notre Dame's hot after North Carolina. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to it, but it just kind of is what it is. But Notre Dame definitely flexing its national brand and recruiting with all these states that they went after. And then this data point right here, 35 offers to the defensive line. That's more than the quick math is what? 31 offers on offense, 35 just the defensive line. Al Washington, Nick Sebastian went crazy there. And then I had some kind of other notes and data here. No quarterback offer, obviously. Yeah, third of the pot of gold offers were to defensive linemen, which is definitely a good chunk. So, Kyle, I know you're a nerd. What were some of your thoughts about those numbers that you just saw?
Well, they offered a lot of defensive linemen, but I think there's a group of guys that they're already pretty well positioned for when you look at Richie Flanagan and then Braden Parks from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple other guys that caught my eye. So
Yeah,
I like
Julie Alamaka's brother is a
yeah,
defensive lineman.
there you go. That's very well three guys that Notre Dame can land. And
Yeah,
what they'll take 5 or 6. But I
that
really
might.
like the approach by Al Washington here to just get started with these guys early, man, because it's like something I've learned is just because you offered a guy, it doesn't mean it's always committable. So, I mean, so many of these other schools are doing the same thing. They're offering tons of guys. Notre Dame's always been a little bit more strategic, but I think you're starting to find that their approach is starting to shift a little bit, considering first pot of gold day. I mean, what they offer, like 20 guys. I didn't cover Notre Dame back then, but this would have been the Dante Moore class. Do you know what that number was off the
They
top of your
offered a couple dozen because they had already offered a lot. So they
Right.
talked to like 80, but they had already offered a bunch of guys at that point. So
Okay.
that's why it was a low number of new offers.
But, in 24, the 2024 class, they offered about 65. That number was the same in 2025. Last year, that number ballooned to 85, and now we look at 95 this year. So I think each and every year, Notre Dame's
Yeah.
being, a little bit more open with the types of guys they're recruiting, and, all these guys don't have to be takes right away. I mean, you can't take 95 guys anyway or whatever. So, um, I like the direction they're going, and I you know I it's a weird way to think of it, but I think some of the momentum that they're gaining in Pot of Gold in 2027 is also going to bleed into the 26 class with the visitors and the guys they have on campus. So I think we're in for a pretty decent spring for Notre Dame, where we're going to see a lot of guys pop, and just like USC went on their little run during late February, early March. I think Notre Dame's gonna do for one of their own here soon.
Yeah. Um, Kyle, we've got work to do, and then a weekend to somewhat enjoy. We got to call recruits all weekend, but we are going to end the show there and get back to work. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not done so yet. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. And listen, I know some of you are like, I don't like watching these shows, and they just tell me to go subscribe. Listen, we're sorry. This is more or less the YouTube channel is just another way for us to connect with you guys, but our website is our bread and butter. That is going to be our high majority of our work. So if you find value in these YouTube shows, that's awesome. But if you do want a little bit more, you got to go to blueandgold.com. It is 100% the place to be. Appreciate you guys for tuning in or listening to this podcast, and we will catch you guys next time.